Hey, this is Carlo of 4GTV here with Sarah Natochenny, and I'm very excited because she's coming to Tampa Bay Comic-Con, and you guys may know her from multiple projects, but she has a very interesting career. Sarah, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit how you got started into what you do? I also saw, like in your history, that you did film editing as well.
Yes, so I started acting. So when I was a kid, I was a rhythmic gymnast, bronze medal Junior Olympics, and then I quit. I hated it. I was like, I'm done. I wasn't good at it in the beginning, and then I got good, and I was like, that's it. That's the goal. That's all you need. So then I started going to acting school through teenage years. Did acting school at Lee Strasberg, and pounded the pavement, got an agent, did improv, did sketch, did musical improv, did voice, did dance, did everything. And when I was 18, I got the audition for Pokemon and just happened to book it.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So,
Yeah.
what made you try for Pokemon?
It was a random audition that came to me. I mean, as you advance in your career, that's when it becomes possible to be like, oh, I really want to read for that. Oh, can you get me that audition? But early on, maybe this is my experience and not everyone's experience, but early on, I did not feel that I had the power. And maybe that's a deeper dive. I didn't feel like I had the power to be like, I want to read for that. I heard that's casting and I want to read for it. So at the time, it was just they were auditioning. My agent manager got the audition and they sent it to me. And I was like, oh, cool, great. You don't turn down an audition, especially when it's Pokemon. So yeah, at that point in your career, you don't turn down auditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know
Mhm.
sometimes when it comes to, different animes, cartoons, or even video
Mhm.
games in general, sometimes they keep like a project name. They don't actually tell you what it is. When you
Right.
went into this, did you know it was Pokemon at first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they didn't hide it. That is interesting. I then yeah, I don't think they hide it now. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't hide it. It's mostly video games that hide it. I think it's video games and no, animation. I feel like animation usually they tell you what it is and then you can look it up and find out who's working on it and yeah, that's less secretive. But we're we do sign NDAs sometimes, not always. Yeah. I don't want to give too much away, the secrets of our business.
So when it came to,
Mhm.
you got cast for Pokemon, you got cast as
Yes.
Ash. From that moment on, how many
Mhm.
other times did you end up getting cast for Pokemon? How many different projects, just in general that you've been involved with that series?
Well, I got Ash and then through like Black and White through so I started in Battle Frontier. And I guess I played a few Pokemon then. So with the Pokemon and like Ash's mom and stuff like that, some of it's auditioned and some of it's like kind of given to an actor who's already there if they know my vocal range, which they did, they got to know me really well. And they're like, "Oh, it sounds like you can do that. Can you just give it a try?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's you." So, I think most of the roles that I got on Pokemon subsequent to getting Ash happened that way. And auditioning, I didn't audition much during those years because I was the main character, and it's like we don't want the same voice in multiple play. I was already multiple characters, so they didn't want to add too much for me. Yeah.
Do you have a
But now I audition for everything now, and they're not like handing me. There's some Pokemon maybe a little bit, but yeah, the speaking roles are not. They're not just handed to anyone. Yeah.
So when it came to, Pokemon, did you
Mhm.
do all that in a studio or did you have a home studio set up for this?
I didn't have a home studio until COVID. Yeah, a lot of us didn't. Most of us, I would say, didn't. Everything happened in studio in New York City. And yeah, I didn't even audition at home. I'd have to go to my agency to audition or to casting houses. Yeah. It was a lot of running around rather than just like sitting there knocking them out and going back about your day. Yeah.
Is it the same now for you if you were to get cast in?
No.
No?
No. Oh, so most of the actual jobs have gone back into studio. So living in New York or LA or Dallas if you're doing anime, um, or Chicago if you're doing commercial, that's really it's important too if you want to be working, close to full time if you want to make this a full-time career. Although there are outliers, there are people that live in different places and either they're super established or they're doing a lot of work that's not just animation or anime and supporting themselves that way, audiobooks and things like that. But I want the kind of career that would keep me in LA, really. I moved here 2.5 years ago. Yeah, and New York is a tougher market, so and tougher in terms of like there's not as much work. So moving to LA was a really good idea for me.
When it comes to the series of
Mhm.
Pokemon, do you have like a favorite line that you remember, that you recall a favorite moment, anything like that throughout the whole series that you've done?
Yeah, so episode 1928, Seeing the Forest Through the Trees is my favorite episode. Ash gets into an argument with Serena. He saves this pupa from a tree. There's a weather event. I have to rewatch it. I've already forgotten it. I'm like forgetting my things. But that episode I remember really touching me as I was recording it and I wrote it down. There are a few episodes I have written down, and that one is like my top all-time favorite.
And when you go to conventions and you meet fans,
Hmm.
what do
Yeah.
they know you from? Do you
It's
get
Pokemon.
Pokemon?
Pokemon, sometimes college humor from back in the day because I acted in some college humor videos, and now Game Changer because I showed up in an episode of Game Changer on Dropout, which is some of the same people. Sam Reich now runs Dropout, and he came from college humor. So yeah, I'm recognized from those three things for the most part. And now Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. You know, if you know, you know. I'm voicing Alia, and that's I think we have like 5 episodes up on Crunchyroll already. So it's brand new.
How do you like that character?
I love her. Oh, she's so much fun. Oh, there's so much intrigue in that show and like jealousy and just like trying to hide your feelings, basically. Yeah, she and I have a lot in common. We're both, kind of high achieving perfectionist people, and yeah, I really enjoy playing her.
Have you done, would you say, like any extensive video game work that somebody might know you from?
My mom, it's actually happening now.
Okay.
Ironically, we're on strike right now, so I'm not doing anything at all that is struck. Obviously, I'm not touching anything like that, and I'm not doing any work that would hinder our progress in the strike. So it's a complicated thing, but I'm not touching anything now. But for anybody who does sign the interim agreement, I'm working, and it's been really great. So that answer will be different in like a year or two. But I have done a bunch of video games. There is a company called Gameloft, and we did a lot of mobile games in the 2010s, I would say. Thor, I was Lady Sif in Thor. Most notable, my very first video game was Bullet Witch. I played Alicia in Bullet Witch, and I remember a German publication calling it prohibitively sexy. I was like, I have a career in this.
Nice.
So that was fun.
You have me interested now because you mentioned Marvel, and one of the co-hosts on our show, Paris,
Yeah.
he runs the largest Marvel Cinematic Facebook group
Oh,
with
cool.
over 500,000 members, and he has friends in there
Cool.
from Marvel Studios. So now I need to make a clip of that and show them.
Yes, please. I narrated Marvel's Black Widow Bad Blood. Anyway, I was the narrator of Marvel's Black Widow Bad Blood, and it was really great. Let me see. Video game wise, Grand Theft Auto 5, that was my biggest title, I would say, but I was just additional voices. So hopefully one day we shall see. Paladins, I was Dragon Hunter Tyra.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I was a bunch of characters in Earth Defense Force, Bullet Witch Alicia, which I already mentioned, my first role. In White Day, which was a very creepy game, actually. I liked it. I was a character called So Young. And now the Gameloft games. Modern Combat Versus, I was the mom. Thor, I was Lady Sif. Gangstar Vegas, I was Ronnie Q. I get recognized for her sometimes. Dragon Hunter 5, I was Matey. Asphalt Explosion, I was Getaway Girl. Night Fortress, I was the bearded lady number 4.
Oh, wow.
I did additional voices in Batman, in Dead Rivals, and I played a bunch of animals in my littlest pet shop,
Oh,
and
that's
also
pretty
something
cool.
called Moonsy and Pooches. I remember what Moonsy looked like. I don't remember Pooch. Anyway, yeah, you start to forget. It's just, like all of these things kind of you do them over the course of a couple of hours, over a couple of days, and and then you go home. You're really invested for the moment, and then you're like, okay, I'm done, and then on to the next.
Well, it's good that you have such a diverse background in multiple
Yeah.
categories here. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things about being a voice actor is being able to lend your voice to whatever comes your way. and
Totally.
you
Yeah,
totally have
that's
a
the fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, what is the difference between, let's say, working on a anime slash cartoon versus a video game?
So video games, typically the scripts are it depends on what you're doing within the video game, but a lot of the video game work is line, 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 and you're basically barking. If you're talking to the player, you're like, "Here we go, great job," but you know, and that's and you do three takes, three takes, three takes, three takes. So that's that kind of work, and it's really fun to nail all of that. But it's very different from um, like more cinematic work. So animation and the cinematic stuff in video games is all script, you know, it's all dialogue. So that's to me, I can't say it's actually it's more interesting to put it simply, but it's also more of an organic way of being because you're having a conversation. And sometimes you'll have the other actor in the room or actors in the room. That used to be much more common before COVID. And sometimes you won't, and maybe your director will read against you so that you can have, you know, more honest reactions. But as a voice actor, like your job is to be able to have really honest, organic reactions to something that doesn't exist. Like I have to play other people's lines in my head all the time. Like how would they say that? And kind of have that running in my head as I'm working. So it's a different skill than on camera and theater. So much of what we're doing lives in our imagination, and it's not handed to us by another actor. So it's it's hard, and it's really rewarding, and there is an element of nailing it and being like, yeah, I got, oh, that was so perfect. But there is also an element of the organic thing still working just like it does in on camera and theater. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to the director what they want to pick. If they want to pick a more improvised take, if they want to pick something that's just like super perfect and sounds like what should be in game, that's it's up to the director and the team behind the glass.
What has been some of the most difficult or challenging moments for you? Is there any type of voice that you have to really practice for? I know I hear some voice actors say it's those screechy, dying zombie kind of voices that are really difficult for them, or monster voices.
Yeah, I thankfully I don't really excel in monster voices, so I'm not really doing a lot of that. Um, I don't do a lot of screeching. When I do, it's good, but it can blow out your voice. Like I'm sore right now, um, because I was at a convention this weekend and it's loud and I'm working like both days that I'm home, I'm working every day. So very grateful for that. But you know, I am like finally focusing on like, oh, I really got to be careful and not speak when I don't need to be speaking. Um, that's a real thing, you know. But no, there's never been a voice. Wingull, Wingull on Pokemon is a Pokemon that I did on an inhale. Wingull, and that is really hard to emote with. There's not too much you can do with that. So that's my only regret. Sounds cool though. Thankfully doesn't come up too often. But if I had to do that for 4 hours a day, I couldn't.
Yeah, that does sound
Yeah.
like it would be difficult and
Yeah.
exhausting after a while.
Yes, it can be. Yeah.
When it comes to reading the scripts and saying your lines, I know different sound engineers, producers, directors, they're different. Some of them let you improvise, some are like, no, stick to the script.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever have ones that just allow you to improvise?
Yes. Yes.
And
Often. Often.
often?
In dubbing less, but in dubbing it's fun to find those places where you can do it because the character isn't facing the camera. I'm like, wee, this is my time to be free and I can do whatever I want. I've found in Alya, especially, I've found places for her to have emotional reactions where they didn't even have them in Japanese. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if she just went, oh God, like in the middle of this? And he's like, that's great, let's do it. And it's really gratifying when you have a director that who agrees with you, you know? But yes, for I would say some of the games I'm doing, they want everything kind of stuck to the script, and that's cool. Yeah. Whatever you want. Our job is to be of service to you and to bring something to the table that maybe you didn't think of. If it works, it works. You got to kind of find your the medium, the happy medium, where you're not like overburdening them with your ideas and then making them feel weird for not accepting them or something. You know, you got to kind of read the room and feel out what they want.
And when you got into voice acting, did you have any mentors that you looked up to, or any moments that were like, wow, I got to work with so and so? Any moments
I
for
mean,
you
I
like that?
feel that way with almost anybody who's, yeah, that I've ever worked with or coached with or anything like that. Let me think. Charlie Adler was a really cool teacher.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a
Oh,
while.
Kal-El Bogdanov. I just took a couple classes with him. He's brilliant. He's such a brilliant teacher. He's a brilliant director. There have been a few wonderful people, but early on I didn't have anybody. Early on I didn't get into voice acting. It's just kind of happened to me. So, I remember Bob Bergen taught a class and he's a brilliant teacher. He's a brilliant, brilliant teacher. And I couldn't afford it at the time. And it took me a really long time to be able to afford it. And I might still take it. Bob, I'm coming for you. But rightfully so. His class is incredible and he's got an insane waiting list. So, that's what it is. But hey, I still made a career for myself and I'm okay. Um, but yeah, they're really wonderful people. I meet so many of the actors at conventions and just get snippets of advice and wisdom from a lot of people who have been in the business a long time. And the biggest thing that I've learned is it's kind of the same thing for everyone, no matter where they are in their career. Like we all go through lulls, we all go through moments where like, why didn't I get that audition? That happens to legends. And it never kind of never changes. You have to be cool with that journey. You have to be okay with, things kind of ebbing and flowing for you. So I've had moments of like silence and I've had moments of, oh my God, I can't find this, I can't find room for this in my schedule. So yeah, you just have to be kind of cool to roll with the punches. And I think that's probably the not the best advice that I've gotten, but the most relief I've gotten when I'm speaking to somebody whose career I think I want. And it's like, oh wait, no, you're already in that. We're here. We're all here. We're just trying to make it happen. So what's meant for you will come to you. And what isn't meant for you will not. And you just have to kind of believe that, whether you believe it or not.
That's a great way to look at it, because I hear at times it could be a business of no's, and also a
Yeah,
time of sending out a bunch of auditions in 1 week. Sometimes just hoping you get something. So
totally.
it's and
Weeks, months, years, years, years. Lulls can last years. You have to be okay with that. It's really, yeah. Doesn't matter who you are. It can happen to anybody. And you won't understand why. Sounds change, what they want changes. Maybe you've been in too much and your voice is kind of on everything. There are so many reasons for it just not being your moment. So, yeah, scary stuff.
so
This
the
ain't for the faint-hearted.
the advice is don't give up. You'll get something.
Uh, um, don't give up for sure. You'll get something, not necessarily. You may never, at some point, you may never work again.
that
That's true.
yeah, that could be true too. Yeah,
That could be
that could be
it.
it. So
Yeah.
you've been going to conventions, I imagine like with COVID, everything was on lockdown, so maybe you
Yeah.
weren't going to as many conventions, but now conventions are back, they're everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're great and they're fun. And I see you on your social media. I see you go out with your fans that dress as, Ash or sometimes Pokemon
Mhm.
characters. Have you seen a great mashup that sticks out in your mind of a character?
Just this weekend, I saw a girl who was a fan of mine. She wore an Ash cosplay, but then she had Yuzuha from Tokyo Revengers, who I also play. She had her like collar. And I was like, that's cool, man. Thank you.
That is
That was
awesome.
pretty cute. Yeah. And I've seen like Evil Dead Ash. That was awesome. I remember at New York Comic-Con, like 2021, we were all still in masks. And that's like one of my biggest hit videos. That was the first time I ever chased Ash Ketchum's around and I found him and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That was a
When
good time.
when you chase the cosplayers around, do they know who you are at first? Has any
Sometimes,
Sometimes?
but usually not. And it's really fun to be like, I'm the voice. It's fun. It's also nerve-wracking because it's really weird to tell somebody who you are and what you do. Like, hey, I'm Sarah. I'm the voice of Ash Ketchum. And usually the reaction is like, what? Oh my God. Oh my, because it's obviously a fan. They're wearing Ash Ketchum cosplay. So I know it's going to be a positive moment. But there's always the fear of like, is this person anxious? Does this person not want to be surprised? So I kind of creepily scope them out first. Gotta go. I try to see if it's somebody who might not appreciate being stopped in the street. Because cosplay does not mean like, oh, poke poke, can I take your picture? You know? Yeah.
I
So
think I think
yeah,
most of the fans though of especially Pokemon that dress up really
for the
appreciate
most
it.
part.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they appreciate being recognized. There was
Yeah.
a cool mashup I saw of Ash. I don't know if you ever seen this one before,
Mhm.
but it's Deadpool dressed up as Ash.
I can picture that.
It was
I've
it
probably seen it.
it was
Yeah,
the most unique one I've seen here in Florida so far.
that's awesome. Kudos.
Is there anything else that you want your fans to know?
I mean, I make all my announcements on social media. I peek in Instagram stories. It's like where I am all the time. Um, Life is exciting. I'm traveling almost every weekend. I didn't do conventions until like 2021, actually.
Oh, really?
I did maybe 10 conventions over the course of my entire career of like 15 years at that time. So conventions are new for me, and it's been really fun. And that's my favorite part of the job is going out and meeting fans and seeing that there are fans. Because everything we do is in a booth. Like we're literally just in a booth doing this job and then leaving and not thinking about it. So to go to the booth, do my job, and then that next weekend come out and have people love what I just did, like mind blown, amazing, so fun.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
fun what you do with your social media too. Like I haven't
Yeah.
seen many people in the industry do that yet. I think like you're starting to trend, you know,
What of like,
going out and finding the cosplayers and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
surprising them.
Yeah, yeah. No, that came to that was an organic. I remember being at New York Comic-Con 2021 just for fun as a spectator. And my friend Max Goodrich, who is a phenomenal actor, he's starting to do that much more now. But he's a content creator, and he was or continues to be, I think, working for much bigger celebrities than me and building out their social media. He was there as well at New York Comic-Con and was like, "Come, let's just like hang out and maybe we can film some bits or something." And I saw a cosplayer and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get him. And Max was like, that's an idea. And that was the first time we did it. And we just like ran around the convention for the rest of the day or two. And he's like, all right, now film an intro. And we filmed an intro and like we built it out totally organically without writing anything down or thinking about it. It just kind of happened.
That's
It's
so
cool.
cool. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
that's the best stuff is like stuff that just kind of happens, magic.
You're like a trendsetter now. You know that, right? Like you're
Thank
starting a
you.
trend, and people are gonna remember you for
No.
this. So at Tampa Bay Comic-Con,
Yeah.
do you plan on like surprising anybody there?
We'll see if I have time. I when I do it, it's because there is a little bit of time. So my schedule might be packed. We'll see how the table is. Generally I'm pretty glued to the table. Some conventions I'm not so much, but it kind of depends on the turnout. So I'm anticipating to be busy at this one. But if I have time, coming for you.
This one's getting bigger every year that I've
It's
been there
huge,
so
isn't
far.
it?
It's getting big,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, they're
you
doing great.
probably will be pretty busy.
We'll see. We'll see. I hope so.
And then, on every interview, I ask
Yeah.
this every celebrity actor, director that I interview. And you may eat it or you may not eat it, but it's a question we ask.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I'm fine with it. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm fine with pineapple on pizza. I'll die on that hill.
Native native New York or pineapple on pizza? That's interesting.
I don't think I don't really I'm a snob when it comes to like certain things about pizza, but when it comes to toppings, it's a pizza. You can put anything you want on a pizza. I feel like that's part of the point. You can customize it to your taste buds. So
True.
yeah, no, I have no problem with that. But if it's a little soggy or if the cheese is kind of tasteless, that happens. If it's over salted, um, if the sauce isn't sweet enough,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I love a cornmeal crust. Little Italy Pizza in New York does a cornmeal crust. Beautiful, the best. My favorite pizza.
That's
So yeah,
where that's where my dad learned to make pizza in New York.
in New York,
Yeah,
I
when he
mean,
came from
must be
Italy,
brilliant.
long
Yeah,
time ago when he came from Italy. Yeah, that's where
yeah,
he ended up.
that's
So
where they end up. Yeah.
One thing that there's a New Yorker who watches our show, and he's
Mhm.
insistent on this. He
Okay.
thinks that people like brown mustard on pizza in New York.
Brown mustard?
Spicy brown mustard on pizza.
I've never heard that. Never
I've
seen
never
that.
heard it either.
Maybe some enclave somewhere
Okay.
of, yeah, there's maybe a shop that does it. I've never heard of it. I'm sure it's probably not bad. Why not?
Can you guess what
Yeah.
the weirdest topping we ever heard was on there? It's from the Midwest, and it's from a town where there was a lot of German settlers, German ancestry.
Okay. I mean, not sausage. Sausage, that's normal.
Yep, that's normal.
Yeah. What do Germans eat that's not typically on pizza? This is a good question.
I
I have no idea. Well, you know, there's like one German restaurant in New York. It's not even a popular food. But I've spent a lot of time in Germany, so I should know this. But honestly, when I go to Germany, I eat Italian food.
I can't blame you.
Yeah, it's just it's too heavy for me. Um, I don't know, dark brown bread on top of the pizza.
No, sauerkraut.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's more of a hot dog item.
Yeah, that's what I thought
It's an
too.
obvious one.
Well, Sarah, I want to thank you for hanging out with me and enjoy the
Sure.
convention. I'll try to stop by your booth because I'll be there as
Sweet.
well. So I hope to see all the Pokemon fans and everybody coming over to your booth. So Sarah will be there and check it out. Thank you,
Thanks.
Sarah.
My pleasure. Take care.